G'day guys, welcome back to another video with Enno here from Fantasy Take TV. Today we'll be going through my updated draft just ahead of game week 1 with only just over a week to go. So very much looking forward to it. The off season felt not that long, but now that we're just sort of itching to get going, it seems like every day is going slowly, but it won't be long. There's a couple of games this weekend we need to keep an eye on to make our final decisions, and then we can get right into it next week. So we'll start with my team that as it currently sits. I'll say now for most of the preseason, I've sort of been looking at the 5 back, but I think I've moved away from that now and comfortably sit with the 4 at the back. I won't give away the rest of the formation, but right now, I guess we'll start with the goalkeeper. As you probably know if you watched my videos recently, I don't like talking about this position too much. It's one I wish I could just lock away and forget about now, but it's still very much up in the air. I think I've settled on either going a 4.5 in obviously Sanchez, who I've got right now, Mahrez, or Raya, or if I can find the million and want to take it out from somewhere else, going up to Edison to sort of just bank those City clean sheets early, and then once we figure out who the 4.5 or maybe even 5 million goalkeeper is best around the first wild card, jump on them then. So look, Brighton open with a couple of tricky fixtures. I think it's United week 1, West Ham week 2, but after that it gets a little easier, and then maybe can build some points there before, as I said, we wild card to who is the most preferred option, around game week 8 or whatever. So right now it's Sanchez, still could be Mahrez, could be Raya. Annoying as it is, it's just a position that's still up in the air. Next one is one that isn't, and that's Trent. He's not going anywhere. I'm sure he's in all of your sides and isn't moving. And look, I know Jesus is the most known player in the game, but I still don't know how it isn't Trent, really. I guess he's the highest price defender, but he's like still 0.5 million cheaper than Jesus. I just think it's crazy to me that he's still only around 50% owned, but he's not going anywhere from my side. Robbo is one I really see a lot of upside in, just at the ownership. The price as well, I guess you could say, only being 7 mil, compared to, say, his Liverpool counterpart that other people will be selecting in Luis Diaz, who is 8. I can see massive value there to sort of not only have a only 10% owned player, but a guy that absolutely smashed it the second half of the year, was out scoring Trent. I won't say performing, but I guess you could say, but he was sort of overperforming on his stats and really piling on the points, whereas Trent was more underperforming. So that obviously will come back to the mean, but if he can carry that form into this season, then I think it's going to be a massive player for us. So yeah, I really like Robbo at this point, and I think he's pretty much locked in too. And even for the next guy, Cancelo, I'd pretty much say these 3 are not really leaving my side for game week 1. So Cancelo, I think he's by far the best City defender. If they get Cucurella, maybe people will have some concerns over more rotation, but I don't think that will come till later or further into the season. So really happy to have him. And then Zinchenko is probably one that needs more talking and more thought. So obviously, being an Arsenal fan, I've followed it quite closely. I think he provides great depth to our squad and great versatility. He can play obviously left back or in centre midfield like he does for Ukraine, who he is the captain of. So obviously we saw him used not sparingly for City, but only when Pep really wanted something different. He provides obviously good progression throughout the left side of the field. So I think it works perfectly for us in that he might even he'd be playing left back early as Tierney's injured, but he might honestly even displace him from that spot. And if not, if Arteta wants to go with Tierney at left back, he can displace Xhaka from that sort of left centre midfield spot, or centre midfield spot. So I think, as I said at the start, great versatility. I think he will play a lot for us early. He's got just absolute class on the ball, and when we sort of are in possession, he will be far up the left side of the field, sort of like what Tierney does when he's left back. And then obviously if he's centre midfield, that's perfect anyway. So I think at 5 million, it's a really good price, and obviously low owned. So, look, the first couple of fixtures are tricky for Arsenal. Palace away, and then Leicester, who can score goals. But after that, it's really nice, and I think Zinny can give us some points. So he's who I've got right now as we get into the midfield. And just like Trent, Salah, I don't think I need to speak too much about him. but he's not going anywhere from my side. I know some people want to toy with Son, KDB, who, look, KDB would be awesome, and especially for that game week 2 matchup against Bournemouth, I think he can do absolute damage. But for now, it's got to be Mo. It's got to have the captaincy on him game week 1, and I don't think that, or I know that's ain't going to change from my side. Riyad Mahrez is one that I think, obviously, I'm trying to get that City cover with. So it looks to me, or even just appears to me, that he's going to start the season with that right wing spot. Obviously, with Pep and City, things can change and quite quickly. But Foden hasn't been with the team; he's been with the under-23s, along with him and John Stones. So if he hasn't been, up until now with a week to go in with the team, I don't think he'll be just straight back into it for the game week 1. And look, all it takes is Pep to change his mind, or a bad performance from, one of the wingers for Phil to come in. I'm sure he'll feature off the bench anyway in those games. And, maybe it's for Haaland when he comes off, Phil comes in, plays the false 9, and sort of Mahrez and Grealish can stay wide. But I think for now, Mahrez, if he keeps penalties, I mean, this is a smash, but we're not super certain on that at this stage. So monitor the Community Shield that's this weekend against Liverpool. Obviously, a lot of us will be looking closely at that, but still, I don't think that will tell us a hell of a lot. You never know with Pep what he wants to do against certain teams. So there's a guy out there who FF Scout Luke, who you should follow on Twitter. He's really up to date with the City stuff and the teams, and watches all Pep's presses. And so I think he was a number 1 or 2 Man City lineup predictor last year, which if you saw them going around. So look, that's who I sort of go to for my City knowledge. So give him a follow. And then, that's sort of where I'm going to base most of my decisions around City for the year. And obviously not all, 100%, but take it into account. Martinelli, so with Zinchenko, who we talked about before, and Sanchez, and the options that I have with them, this is where I would steal the 1 million from if I wanted to. So I would go Martinelli down to a Leon Bailey, who I really like the look of. Obviously, minutes is a bit of a question, and his injury sort of history, but Stevie G has been talking him up like no tomorrow, especially after his last performance against United in pre-season. So if I could steal 1 million from here, and I didn't like going with Zinchenko, I could go up to Reece James. Or if I wanted to put that 1 million onto the keeper, I could go obviously up to Edison from Sanchez, and then have Leon Bailey in midfield. So look, I don't love if I was to do that, having a 5 million mid and a 5.5. So I just do like a bit more certainty with Martinelli that you get over Bailey at the moment. So I would prefer to go a 4.5 keeper and keep it this way, but obviously can be persuaded if things don't look like they're going to work. So with Martinelli, I think that left wing spot is his, locked up. Has to have a few bad performances into the season to even consider losing that. So Smith Rowe hasn't been fit. He hasn't featured much in pre-season at all. I think he played a half against Nürnberg, that German or second division German team, about 2 weeks ago, and after that hasn't featured. So Martinelli's got that spot down. Obviously, we talked before, the first couple of fixtures aren't the greatest, but or they're a bit tricky, but after that they get really nice. So I think he can score goals. And then Neto. So recent news last night, actually, that Jimenez is out for about 8 weeks, or up to 8 weeks. So pretty much when we're going to be owning or worrying about Neto anyway with those early fixtures. But it's been conflicting sort of across the community in the last 24 hours over whether it's actually better or not. So stats went out with Neto with and without Jimenez, and it was actually a lot worse when Jimenez wasn't playing, whereas you can think of it as he's pretty much become sort of nailed now, which was maybe a question before with him, Pedence, Jimenez, even Huang, who I think is coming back from an injury, but him and Pedence now almost certainly expected to start most games. Neto will be playing left wing and Pedence up top, but that can change during the game. And there's another fan or FPL account I follow, FPL Black Wolf, who's all over the Wolves, or the Wolves, and he knows or has been watching and reporting on what they sort of do. And he said Pedence and Neto sort of swap between out wide and down the middle during the game. So, look, this even could be Pedence if I think he's going to be playing number 9 for the start. That'll be an even bigger point of difference. Neto's become quietly popular owned at the moment, up, nearly 20%. So, if I could get Pedence and have another sort of differential in there. I've already got a few, as you can see. Probably a bit too much to do that, but it's something to consider. So that's the Neto situation there. Someone I've sort of warmed to over pre-season. And then we finish with the forwards, who you probably expected by now that it'd be this formation, and it is Kane over Haaland at the moment. Kane's ownership is starting to rise slowly. It's probably around, I think, 13-14% when the game opened, and Haaland around 65%, and it's sort of, they've stolen that from each other now, and I'm obviously one of those managers affecting that. So Kane, just a proven FPL asset over a number of years. Whereas Haaland obviously coming into the Prem for the first time from the Bundesliga, and it's more the injuries for me. I don't actually doubt him succeeding in this league, and especially at City. It's more the worry over his minutes early on. So he might get a start against West Ham, come off, and we could even see him not start against Bournemouth. Luke, who I was talking about before, and someone else who I can't quite remember, I was listening to talking about with Bournemouth teams that are going to be sitting very, very low, going to be parking the bus. A player like Haaland might actually not be that successful against it, and they might want a quick and sort of nimble false nine or number 9 to play against those teams to sort of get the quick passes and quick feet through. So, wouldn't really surprise me if I just saw him not on the team sheet in that game week 2 fixture. So, what you're getting with Kane, nailed 90 minutes, penalties, everyone knows it, everyone says it, and the fixtures are really good early. Of course, game week 2, Chelsea's a bit annoying, but Chelsea haven't really looked too great in pre-season, so I think he can still get a goal there. And then Jesus, I don't really think much needs to be said about Jesus. Number 1, we've got the hat on. Number 2, he's 60-something%. Owned, and number 3, he scored like 4 or 5 goals in pre-season and just has looked amazing. So he's not going anywhere from my team. And then on the left, I've just got the bench, and I think Nico Williams the best 4 million defender, and then Andreas Pereira for the 4.5 million midfielder. And then I saw a comment actually about Greenwood might actually be even getting some minutes at Leeds, probably off the bench, I'd say. So yeah, let me know what you think about the team. I know I spoke through it a bit more than usual, but it is out of that point of the year where you really need to think over your picks, obviously for game week 1, and then week to week, probably during the season, I'd more just, go through them a lot shorter or in a shorter description. But that's how the team's looking now. So I've switched to the 4-4-2 from the 5-3-2. I think it obviously gives me a little bit more depth on the bench. 2 good options that can come on. Nico Williams actually has good fixtures in about, I think, game week 3 and 5 that you can actually consider fielding in 4. Of course, if you've got a good on-field squad, you probably would go against it. But, maybe I think Neto has one bad fixture somewhere. You could maybe bench him for that. But, yeah, something to look into. So, look, like the video if you've enjoyed. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And then, let me know in the comments what you think about my side, what questions you might have, and I'll answer you. So, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.
Got the mojo deals, we been tripping like the 80s. Pulling out the coupe at the light.